Hi, welcome to a new episode of Piecing It Together, the podcast where we take a look at a new movie and try to figure out what movies inspired it. And today on the show, we are going to be talking about the Elton John biopic, Rocketman. We did a little mini episode last week with my parents, which, from the looks of it, a lot of people have downloaded. It is way more popular of an episode than it really should have been, but people love my parents, so hey, it is what it is. But now we're back with a regular episode where we're going to get into the puzzle pieces and do that whole thing that we do on this show. Joining me for this one is a new co-host. We've got Jason Baroni, a friend of mine from online, who is a member of our Popcorn and Puzzle Pieces Facebook group, which is a group that you should join if you enjoy talking about movies. Come in there. We like to talk about all kinds of movies. We'll be talking about Rocketman. We'll be talking about everything. All the movies that are coming out this year, classics, lots of memes, all that kind of stuff. It's a great movie group, lots of cool people, no trolls. Join Popcorn and Puzzle Pieces. So, with that said, we're going to get into today's episode on Rocketman, and I want to remind you, as always, that if you're not, you can subscribe to Piecing It Together on your podcast app of choice. And I also want to let you know that today's episode is sponsored by our friends over at the Golden Tiki. The Golden Tiki was recently named one of the top tiki bars in the United States by the Food Network. It's also one of the 10 best nightlife destinations in Las Vegas, rated by USA Today. It's also one of the only places I go when I actually go out at night. And it's just a really cool place. Lots of great special drinks. They've got theme nights, DJs. The Swank Bastards are there, which are an awesome band. And then they've got like all kinds of stuff happening there. What do they got? Well, you know, the thing that their newest thing is Alan Bud's Oasis, which is these two robotic parrots that are powered by microcomputers and nanorobotics and 3D printing, hand feathering, and they have like a whole dirty comedy show that they go into every so often. I think it's like every 15 minutes or 30 minutes or something like that. But the show comes on and it's just pure ridiculousness. And it's definitely something to check out. And also, since this is an episode on Rocketman, and as many of you know, Elton John is actually a customer of my family's record store, Wax Trax Records, I should mention that Elton John, if you listen to this episode, next time you're in Vegas, you should go check out the Golden Tiki, because I know Brandon Powers has been trying to get a hold of you somehow to get you to come do a guest DJ spot. So go down to the Golden Tiki, Elton. Brandon would be so happy. Let's get into the conversation on Rocketman. All right, so joining us for the first time on the show is Jason Baroni. Jason, thanks so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. I wanted to have you on the show. I know you're a huge Elton John fan. We met online in a Ryan Adams fan group, and then we became Facebook friends. And you've been a member of the Popcorn and Puzzle Pieces group for a while, and
Huge
so thank you. I'm glad to have you on the show. Why don't you tell people a little bit about yourself before we get into talking about Rocketman?
Yeah, so I'm a huge fan of Elton. And I think it might help this review. I don't know. And I come from Brazil, so you may think it's strange a bit when I pronounce the first name of all the people I'm going to talk about. That's what we do. And I think that's it. I'm a huge fan of this show, and I am very excited to be a part of it.
Hey, that's awesome. I'm really glad to get different voices on this show, and it's just awesome to have you, and just getting all different kinds of people on the show. It's just great. So yeah, I mean, Rocketman, you've already seen this a few times, right?
Yeah, 3 times already.
3 times. Wow. Yeah, I would love to see it again sometime soon. We went and saw it the other night, me and my parents, which of course we posted that little mini episode, which people seem to really have enjoyed. Yeah. And I was very very happy with the movie. I thought it could have went in a pretty bad way after last year's Bohemian Rhapsody, and I'm so happy to be able to say that it did turn out to be pretty damn great. I've got a few puzzle pieces here. I'm sure you got some. Why don't we jump into your first puzzle piece?
Yeah, so my first puzzle piece is Eddie the Eagle because I think I should first capture what Taron Egerton has done
Hmm.
throughout his earlier career, and he's very young and all. So one of the things I love the most about Rocketman is how Taron manages to get just little facial things from Mountain. You know, the way he smile is very similar. The way he
Yeah.
talks is very similar, and I think he just does a great job in Eddie the Eagle too. So I think when I first saw that movie, it was after Rocketman. Of course, I wanted to learn more about Taron Egerton, and
Hmm.
I just thought he's very good at picking the right facial expressions of his characters. So I think it
Hmm.
it just helps us to explore much more of his talent.
Yeah, absolutely. He's a very talented young actor, and who knew he could sing like this too? I mean, wasn't expecting that, but yeah, I mean, to be able to pull off so well a lot of Elton's mannerisms and all that stuff, and it's definitely clear that this guy was the right choice. He certainly embodies a little bit of the look, but mostly the performance, mostly in the mannerisms, the characteristics of how Elton is as a person, and then also in the voice as well. I mean, he does a really good job singing these songs. I mean, he obviously doesn't sound exactly like Elton John when he's
Sure.
singing the songs, but he certainly does a great job. Certainly does a great job of singing. And Eddie the Eagle is a great movie and a great example of this kid's work leading up to this. And I'm actually gonna just jump right into my first puzzle piece because it kind of goes right along with Eddie the Eagle, and that's Kingsman: The Golden Circle.
Yeah.
Um, because I have a feeling. I mean, I don't know. I haven't read any behind the scenes yet on this movie, so I don't know if he specifically was like, "Hey, you're awesome. You should play me in the movie," or something
Yeah.
like that. But I mean, obviously, Elton John had his little cameo in Kingsman: The Golden Circle, which was hilarious. And Taron stars in that movie in the Kingsman series, and so I have a feeling that if the ink hadn't dried yet on any kind of contracts or anything, I think that experience of them working together because. One thing I didn't realize until the credits were rolling on Rocket Man is that Elton John was actually an executive producer on the
Yeah.
film.
Yes.
Yeah, a lot of times with these biopics, you don't see that where the star or the whoever it is that the movie is about was a executive producer on it. So I have a feeling he must have had some amount of hands on with finding who would play him and maybe some of the other people involved. And so, yeah, I have a feeling that experience on Kingsman: The Golden Circle probably had something, some kind of an impact on the casting and creation of this movie.
Yeah. At first point, I was so afraid that this movie could be a product for Elton John. Uh,
Mm,
it it didn't feel like a product, of course, and it went the other way actually. And I'm very glad that Elton put his finger on the movie, but like he knew that he couldn't mix up this story the way he wanted to and all. So I'm very happy with the way the movie turned out to be.
yeah, absolutely. So what do you got for your next puzzle piece?
So from my next puzzle piece, I have, let's see here, Walk the Line.
Okay.
Course. Uh, have you seen this movie?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I haven't seen it in a long time, but it is like one of probably the best like music rock star biopics, I think.
Yeah, Joaquin Phoenix actually sings in this movie too, just like Taron Egerton, and
Hmm.
he is always brilliant, of course. And I think the stories here are very similar regarding the way they are told.
Hmm.
The difference is that Rocketman is a musical, it has this whole magical element to this, and it makes Rocketman a movie apart from Walk the Line. But I love the way both of the movies treat their characters and how they're conducted too.
Absolutely. And that's an interesting puzzle piece because I completely agree with it. But one thing as the movie was starting, like the first, I don't know, 20 minutes, I mean, obviously we already were getting into some musical numbers, so we knew it was going to
Sure.
be a little different. But based on the actual story that was unfolding, I was starting to worry a little bit because I don't know if you listened to my Bohemian Rhapsody episode,
Yeah, I did.
but I said that it was almost like they looked at every single beat that's ever happened in a music biopic and were just like,
Yeah,
well, let's just do it all again, the exact same thing over again. And so I'm like, oh, we got the disapproving father. Oh, we've got the mom who's not very, oh, we've got
yeah,
nobody likes, and it's like, I'm like, are they going to hit every one of these beats? And then they take it and they totally flip it by turning it into a musical. And that, I think, is the thing that really, I mean, I don't want to say saves it because I think even if they hadn't done that, it's still a great story and it's still a great performance at the center of it, which helps to keep things afloat. But
yeah.
I do kind of want to say saves it because it keeps it from becoming just yet another rock music biopic. And so combining that walk the line thing with just really leaning into these musical performances really helped to make this into something special.
Yeah, you have the actors' performances, of course. Again, Joaquin Phoenix does a great job on his own
Oh yeah.
in that movie, as well as Taron does.
Yes.
When we look at both movies, we see similar troubled artists. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
So it's
Yeah.
very. We should expect some common dramas between Elton and Johnny Cash, of course.
Hmm.
But how this both of the stories went on is very important. And yeah, I do think the musical and the magical element helped a lot to shape Rocketman from every other musical apart.
And speaking of Walk the Line, also Reese Witherspoon's June Carter,
Yeah,
another amazing performance in that movie.
yeah.
Great performances all around. That movie, I should watch that movie again sometime soon. It's so good.
Yeah,
It's
I
so
actually
good.
they have the same problem at times of pacing. I think that
Sure.
Walk the Line felt a little bit slow at times for me, while Rocketman felt very fast
Hmm.
at some moments too. So I
Super
think
fast.
there are some similarities between both of the movies that have caught my attention.
It'll be actually, now that I think about it, a little hard to go back and watch Walk the Line after Walk Hard, the Dewey Cox story.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna be laughing the whole time thinking of Walk Hard, but
Yeah,
I still should
and
though.
there's another element between Taron Egerton and Joaquin Phoenix that I want to point out.
Sure.
That moment, you see Elton trying to smile before he plays. What was the song? A Pinball Wizard, of course.
Yeah,
When he
yeah.
tries to smile, he's very sad and all because he was beaten up by John
Hmm.
Reed, and we have the same moment in the Joker's trailer.
Yeah, you're
But
absolutely right.
it was so lucky of Rocketman to show that first, just so people won't complain about Taron Egerton copying Joaquin Phoenix and all. But I thought that was very very interesting.
That's great. That is actually a really good pull. I hadn't thought of that, but that's so absolutely right. That is funny. That is really funny. Well, okay, I'm gonna go with my next puzzle piece. I've skirted around it a little bit so far in this conversation, but
Sure.
I have to bring up Bohemian Rhapsody
Yeah.
itself as a puzzle piece. I wouldn't be surprised at this point if we're going to get a huge connected universe of these rock and roll biopics. It seems like Bohemian Rhapsody is the jump off point, and for whether you loved or hated the movie, it it shows that people want to see more of these kind of movies, and more of these kind of movies are going to get greenlit. I mean, they're already talking about this director. Dexter Fletcher wants to do a Madonna
Yeah.
one. I know there's a Bowie movie in the works. I think I heard an Elvis movie's in the works.
There's a Bob Dylan
Um,
documentary on Netflix,
Dylan,
right?
yep. Oh yeah, yep. So I mean, this is going to keep happening. But as soon as Bohemian Rhapsody, I think, started getting the positive buzz, because I mean, let's be real, outside of like film Twitter and like movie podcasters and reviewers, most people loved Bohemian Rhapsody,
Yeah.
and as soon as that positive buzz started, I think these movies just started getting greenlit. And Rocketman, I think, was just the first one out of the bunch. Um, and of course, it is the same director. I mean, it started off with a different director, Bohemian Rhapsody, but Dexter Fletcher's who came in to finish it. So I'm
Yeah.
sure, I'm sure his work on that, he probably came in and said, "Well, I just did that. I want to do something more bombastic, something more exciting, and let's lean into this musical stuff. Let's lean into who this person really was. Let's like actually dig into things and
Yeah.
go for the R rating and all that kind of stuff." And yeah, I think that he was certainly influenced by his own work on Bohemian Rhapsody, and probably, I bet he felt like his hands were tied a little bit in trying to finish that movie up at the last time around.
Yeah, I read actually he stopped Rocketman's production to continue Bohemian Rhapsody, right?
Hmm. So
I,
he had already started on like some of like the
yeah,
pre-production or whatever.
yeah.
Interesting.
That's what I heard. Because he wanted to direct this movie, but Fox would choose Bryan Singer, right?
Hmm.
So he went like, okay, I'm doing my thing now with Paramount, and you keep your movie. But I'm very glad how both of these movies turned out to be very different from one another, especially
Oh yeah.
because Dexter Fletcher, he knows how to recreate an epic show, right?
Hmm. Oh yeah.
I'm talking about Live Aid and the
Yes.
Dodgers Stadium performance of Elton. So
Hmm.
I was very skeptical about uh, both of these moments to look very similar in both movies. But when you learn more about the Rocketman performance on the movie, you sort of understand how both of them kind of differences. Uh, or should I say differentiated from
Sure.
both movies, you know. So I'm very glad that in Rocketman we just have a glimpse of what could have been the Dodger Stadium show, while
Uh-huh.
we have a full picture of how was the Live Aid performance.
Sure, sure. Well, that's actually a good question before we move on to the next puzzle piece. Since
Oh,
you do come to this as such a huge Elton John fan, were
sure.
you already aware? Like, had you watched like YouTube footage and stuff like that of some of these classic concert scenes? Had you seen some of them before and recognized them being recreated in the movie?
Yeah, so Elton is now posting his performances from the Dodger Stadium, and
Hmm.
it is very nice. It's actually a very nice footage from the 70s,
Yeah.
and you can see that the recreation was very well done from what you can compare on YouTube right
Hmm.
now. So I'm very happy with the overall result.
Yeah, it's funny. My dad, he he keeps saying that his favorite part of the movie is the side by side shots during the end credits, where they
Oh yeah,
show Taron doing the shot, and then the original Elton shot of the same thing,
yeah.
which I think is funny. I'm like, come on, Dad, what's your favorite part of the movie?
It's very
Movie,
cheesy.
Come on, Dad. Well, what do you got for your next puzzle piece?
So for my next puzzle piece, I have actually chosen a documentary. Don't know if you have seen it yet. So it is What Happened, Miss Simone.
Oh, I heard it's great. I haven't seen it.
Yeah, so Nina Simone is a very inspirational persona for Elton. And when you watch this documentary, you actually see how troubled of a woman this person was. You know, she had a lot of drama, and she couldn't recover to the artist she once was. You know, because of her life choices and all. So I think
Mhm.
there are quite great similarities between her and Elton as a very troubled person, you know. So I think this served as a great canvas for Taron to shape Elton's character in that in all of those darkest moments the movie has.
Yeah, and it does have quite a few dark moments. I mean, it is not like obviously there is, so much hope towards the end and
Yeah,
everything, and it's beautiful where things go, but it is very dark throughout the movie. He led a life where he had quite a lot of hardships throughout it, and
yeah.
with it, I would say that as far as these kind of movies go, it's certainly one of the darker ones, even though everyone's breaking into song every few minutes. And then it feels up and happy.
Sure, it's a movie that isn't ashamed to show what it does. And
Yeah.
it makes me very happy because Elton never had shame of who he was. And
Yeah.
so it's a very honest movie in this regard.
Absolutely. Very honest is exactly how I would describe it. You're totally right. And it's just great that they're able to it's also great that they're able to fit so much in because it feels like it's like even though it's only when did he get clean?
The
Because that's really the
90s.
framing. Yeah, it was the 90s. That's really the framing device, but it feels like they even fit in more in it. Like
Yeah,
it just feels like so much life in this
yeah.
movie, rather than trying to do the whole like, a year in the life of or something like that formative year or something. It just feels like his whole life like unfolding. And I think that musical element again comes into play in that it helps to make it feel like things are moving so quickly and moving through all of these moments.
Yeah, and when you compare the Elton you see after his teenage, when he's learning from Bernie songs and all, and
Mhm.
when you compare it to the Elton you see much later in the movie, it's like you haven't noticed it, the time passing between one and another, but
Mhm.
you see a much more mature Elton at the end,
Yeah.
and you can say that we just passed by 30 years, for example.
Yeah.
It's very
Yeah.
it's very crazy, and I think
Speaks to that great performance.
yeah, it's all on Taryn, of course.
Mm. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, and that's another thing. Maybe I'm just not as familiar with early Elton footage. But as he got older in the movie, I was recognizing him more as like, yeah, that is Elton John right there. you
Yeah,
know?
and you
Yeah.
can say that not because of the way that Taryn looks, but
Hmm.
regarding his acting, that was very emotional, and I think you can understand some similarities between like his problems and problems that you have had in your life. So it is a
Sure.
very personal and very deep and very touching performance overall, and you kind of have this idea of Elton maturing and being a douchebag his whole life, and how his pain taught him so much, you know, and you end up with a very different Elton that you started, and that's what that actually explains the hug scene right at the end too.
Sure, sure. Yeah, no, for sure. Well, right on. I'm gonna go on to my next puzzle piece. It is one that I mentioned in the mini episode, and that is La La Land.
Okay,
Yeah, La La Land is it's kind of a love it or hate it movie. Some people really didn't like it. I
yeah,
liked it.
I loved it.
Yeah, right on. And the way that it weaves like, a full story with musical numbers and with like, obviously that kind of thing happens back in, classic Hollywood, but the way that they do it with modern effects and stuff like that. And I mean, they really just turn it up into this magical, like just fantastical element. I think that's the only other movie I could think of that does it quite that like choreographed and put together, and like the whole thing is just like so it just unfolds on screen in a way that you really don't see elsewhere. It's just
Yeah.
pure magic and music and dancing and singing and just acting their asses off, everybody, you
Yeah,
know.
and sometimes they
It's
are
great.
just singing in front of a very flat background, right?
Hmm.
And very
Oh
vibrant
yeah.
colors too.
Yeah, yeah, it really changes. It just keeps changing, and they keep throwing new ways of just making everything just kind of explode off the screen. You know,
Yeah.
whether it's just the people or if it's the entire scene. It's just constantly being filled with just big, huge musical, uh, uh, set design, costume design, artistic design. And I think that is done really great here, and I thought it was done great in La La Land as well.
Yeah, I can only agree with you, of course. As well as
Absolutely.
also how the songs of the both of these movies help to tell the story, right? Because
Sure.
both of the soundtracks are not just there just to justify the characters and or the script, for example, but they do help to tell the story. Not something that I actually felt deep with Walk the Line, for example. The songs are
Hmm.
just there, and of course that Joaquin Phoenix sings it, and every performance looks great, of course. But I didn't, um, I wouldn't miss the songs on the movie, you
Sure,
know,
sure, exactly.
like I would on La La Land and Rocketman.
Yeah, absolutely. They're really like just kind of sewn into what makes the movie it. You know,
Yeah.
what really makes it tick and what makes it come alive is the way that the story is told through the music.
Yeah, actually, you can feel it in Rocketman when you compare both of the soundtracks, the original soundtrack and the soundtrack you'll find in the movie, and the
Mm.
way that they recreated some of the songs to help this story or just to fit this story a little better.
Yeah, it's also interesting how and I really liked this about how they didn't have any reservations about rearranging the songs within Elton's timeline just for the sake of the scene and of what the what the story was going to be at that moment. And I think that's a really interesting thing where it's kind of a risky thing because if you're
Yeah,
looking at it like as a strict biopic and you're like, oh well, he didn't write that song yet at that point, I Need Love was 2000 something and it was
yeah.
like in the 50s or whatever in the movie, and stuff like that. But it really pays off. It works really well narratively to use the songs that way.
Sure, you have this song and Crocodile Rock at the Troubadour too.
Hmm.
This song would be just written 2 to 3 years later. But
Hmm.
they do fit very well. Not only the scenes, but they contribute to the whole story.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So, what do you got for your next puzzle piece?
So I have two movies for my next puzzle pieces, and they are Jobs, the Steve Jobs movie from 2015, and
Okay.
Emmy, another documentary
Okay.
about Amy Winehouse. It's a very great one, actually. And um, I just picked both of these movies because both of them are about redemption. And there is a moment in Rocketman that it is also about redemption. Actually, the whole movie
Hmm.
is about it. So I think both of them, whether you are talking about Steve Jobs coming back to Apple and you have a great, at least I love, performance of Ashton Kutcher there, and
Hmm.
Amy Winehouse in everything about her storyline. You have redemption as the main element right there, as well as what you can see with Elton in Rocketman too.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And yeah, those are good, interesting, different angles to that redemption story.
Yeah,
Those two movies. And I like that you combine the two of them like that. That's really cool. And yeah, I'm trying to remember if I ever actually got around to seeing the jobs that Ashton Kutcher won. I honestly can't remember if I ever saw it. I certainly remember it existing though. But the Amy documentary is great though. That is so
Have you
good.
seen this?
Yeah, so good.
Okay,
I
so
like that one a
you
lot.
have in every one of them the protagonist's redemption element that I
Mhm.
think it's key to this biography of Elton,
Yeah,
for sure.
absolutely. Because that is definitely like the central thing for him. And I mean, even just framing it with with the rehab angle, just kind of drives that home. But then even outside of that, within his just the entire story, it's all there.
Yeah, when you put Emmy beside Elton, you just see that their fault was the excessive love they felt for some of the people around them, right?
Yeah,
In case of
yeah,
Elton, you have John Reed. In uh, just thinking of Rocketman, of course,
mhm.
and Emmy had her husband too that basically can be responsible for everything she she's been to. So I
Yeah,
think it's a very nice similarity between those artists as the people they are, right?
yeah. No, absolutely, and both amazing artists as well, for sure. So I've got okay, yeah, I'm gonna go with my next puzzle piece here. And this is one I haven't actually seen in a long time. I saw it back when it first came out. But I did think of it while making my list here, and that is Across the Universe.
Oh yeah,
Um, that's another movie that uses music, of course, the Beatles' music in this case, to kind of help the story along, and also combines that music with like just beautiful magic. Just really a feeling of just total magical, experience. And the music really just drives the narrative and just you know makes things just so larger than life and so I don't want to just keep saying the word magic over and over again, but I think people know what I mean when I
yeah,
say
sure.
magic. But yeah, it's a really cool movie though. And I haven't seen it in forever. You've seen Across the Universe?
No, no, it's not biographical, right?
No, it's not. Mm-mm.
Okay.
But they use the songs though to help the story along, and like even like a lot of the characters have like Beatles related names and stuff like that. So it's like they totally like kind of blend a story with Beatles songs, and in a way like what they've done here with Rocketman with blending, using the songs to help tell the story.
I hope it differs from yesterday, the new movie about Beatles.
Yeah, I think yesterday is going to be a lot different from this Across the Universe because yesterday I think is going to be more of like a jokey kind of thing, like just played mainly for laughs and everything. Whereas Across the Universe was played for being like just this big romantic epic type of thing, like a fantasy.
And is this a movie? Of course, it's a movie. Sorry, is this a musical too?
Only in so much as that the music is playing a lot of the time, but
Okay.
it's not a straight up musical though. So what do you got for your next one?
So this is my last one actually, and I think
Okay.
you're gonna love it. And it is Michael Jackson's Moonwalker.
Nice.
It's a guilty pleasure of mine. This one,
Yeah.
but I couldn't help myself during Rocketman scene when Elton becomes a Rocketman. I instantly uh, remembered in my mind when Michael turned into this giant Megazord to protect Annie. Do you remember this scene?
Oh yeah, one of the best things ever. Like
So it was. I still don't understand this movie.
nobody does.
Nobody does,
No.
and I think it has this important magical element that Rocketman has to. They both share this fantasy stuff, but of course, when you pick Michael Jackson's Moonwalker, you have the fantasy inside Michael's head, while when you choose a Rocketman and you analyze the movie, you see that that was the fantasy Elton really lived. So
Sure.
that's how they both differentiates from one another. But I think that there's this magical element in both of these movies that are very similar, and they are just told differently here. But that was a very very nice thing to remember while watching Rocketman, of
Yeah,
course.
absolutely. And I was almost going to just put music videos in general as a puzzle piece at one point when I was making my list.
Oh yeah,
And I mean, really, when you come down to it, though, I mean, is there anything better than Michael Jackson music videos? So I think it's like the perfect version of that. If I had put that as a puzzle piece, I think Moonwalker is the perfect version because stringing together just all these amazing music video moments into a movie is what that
and
is.
it's a movie that doesn't need to make sense, you know.
Yes, yes, absolutely. Because it's all about that feeling, and it's all about that music, and it's all about just awesome visuals and awesome performances, and just really building off that music, which is already amazing, and making something else that's amazing.
Yeah, and about Rocketman, you see that this movie is not concerned to make the perfect storyline for what Elton has lived so far, and it's not
Hmm.
concerned about to be a biography of him
Hmm.
in the big screen. But I'm very happy with this movie because it, the magical element that I've been talking about, it kind of gets everyone in the movie, you know, and you do notice when you see like people crying all around you with you in the same
Hmm.
moments in the movie. So I think this just happened, or at least most of this happened because of the magic translated throughout the songs and the story itself. So I think it's the same
Absolutely.
that happens with Michael Jackson's Moonwalker. I mean, if you watch the movie now, thinking of who Michael was as a person.
Yeah, absolutely. I yeah, completely agree. And I think my my Across the Universe puzzle piece and Michael Jackson Moonwalker both are great lead ups to my final puzzle piece. Which I was originally just gonna say Broadway musicals because obviously this movie is so inspired by musicals,
Yeah.
but I felt that was a little too obvious, so I went for a specific, and that is the Beatles' Love,
Oh yeah.
which is an incredible show. And the way that it tells a story through the Beatles music and through just these big, awesome performances. And I think that is really the treatment that Elton John got with this movie. And it's a beautiful thing that he was able to get a treatment like that because he is so larger than life,
Yeah.
obviously. I mean, we've seen all of the footage of the craziness of his performances and all that. You kind of got to look at it as the movie has to be even bigger.
Yeah.
If you're going to go for magic has to be bigger than real life, and real life was already so crazy.
Yeah.
And the Beatles' Love is a just combining the Beatles music with the whole Cirque thing, and
Hmm.
just this crazy over the top performances. And I think in a lot of ways it's like a very similar kind of treatment.
Sure. You have also Michael Jackson's Immortal
Yes,
that
absolutely.
that can fit the same purpose here, and
I'm gonna put that down as well, actually.
yeah, it's very very nice to see the art element telling the story of real people and real stories, of course.
Absolutely. And it's just really cool though that they went in such a magical direction. And I mean, we've been talking about that the whole time, but as we're here on our last puzzle pieces, I just think it's a great thing. And these last puzzle pieces all kind of encapsulate that a lot. That using music as a way to make life even more magical.
Yeah, it's the same feeling. Like I'm not talking about a musical itself, but when you listen to music
Hmm.
and you kind of picture. moments of your life or moments you are currently living, for example,
Mhm.
with your own soundtrack. So that's how everything feels. You have
Yeah.
characters, you have this background song that sometimes you sing, and I think this was the true innovation that Rocketman brings to the table.
Yeah.
That like
Absolutely.
Aladdin, for example, couldn't help.
Absolutely. Well, I'm going to do the finished puzzle now, and then we'll get to any final thoughts we have on Rocket Man.
Okay.
But the finished puzzle for Rocket Man includes Eddie the Eagle, Kingsman the Golden Circle, Walk the Line, Bohemian Rhapsody, What Happened, Miss Simone, La La Land, Jobs, Amy, Across the Universe, Michael Jackson's Moonwalker, The Beatles' Love Show, and Michael Jackson's Immortal Show. So that is a great finished puzzle list. Some great movies there, great shows in there. Obviously, we both love this movie. I got to say, when I first got out of the theater, I liked it a lot. But it's actually grown on me more over the last few days
Oh yeah.
since I first saw it. I just, like I was just saying, I just think it's so cool that they would take someone so larger than life to begin with and make it even larger. I think that's really cool.
And the cast, the full cast is just amazing, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Jamie Bell's performance, for example, is just stunning. Like you can't look at him and don't wanna be his friend, for example.
Yeah.
And you,
Absolutely.
you also have Richard Madden that is just brilliant here. And
Yeah.
uh, we can name
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
every one of
Absolutely.
them
A lot of
basically.
great performances, and a lot of just a lot of really great choreography, a lot of great, set design, art design, all that. I mean, really, really well put together movie,
What do you think of
just
the songs? What are your favorite performances?
I really liked well, I've always found I Need Love to be one of my favorite songs of his, so I thought that was cool. I thought it was cool. It kind of was reminiscent of the music video.
Yeah.
Which I thought was cool that they carried that over. Also what other ones were
And
particularly
they
great?
changed they changed the lyrics to make the father guilty,
Yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah,
I thought that
absolutely.
was genius.
Were there as a big fan, was there any songs left out that you wish were in it?
Oh yeah, someone saved my life tonight, for example.
I think that's what my mom said.
Yeah,
I think it was the same song
we
that
do
she
agree
wanted.
on this one. It's the same one because it's a very painful song. Like
Yeah,
to be in the movie at the worst moments that Elton
yeah.
have been through and all. So this is one of them.
Oh wow. Yeah, maybe they'd have thought it would be too much.
Yeah,
It
sure.
would bring things down too much. That's funny. So do you have any other final thoughts?
About this movie, yeah, we do have the same score for this movie on Letterboxd. I think
Hmm.
it's 4 out of 5 stars, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Because I think, for example, the first thing that really bothered me is the ending. I think the ending could be better. Like they could have portrayed Elton a little bit older, for example.
Like take it further into the life, you
Yeah,
mean?
yeah.
Hmm.
With David Furnish, his husband, and the kids. But I also think that they were so stuck in the similarities between the Taron and the younger Elton that they missed the opportunity to make him look a little bit fatter. For example, he was just too
Yeah, I
thin.
agree. I completely agree. Yeah.
But he was a thin Elton. He is Elton at moments in this movie, and you can easily like during Pinball Wizard, like I said, for example, is
Mhm.
you just see Elton playing there in that
Yeah,
performance,
yeah.
like flipping the stage and all. So it was a kind of a missed opportunity for me, and it could have been better. But overall, I think it's a great movie. It's a great, very
Yeah.
innovative movie. Do you think it may get any nomination for the Oscars?
It's gonna be interesting to see. I really think I think it probably will, but I also think that I think Bohemian Rhapsody might
Yeah.
have killed its chance because of winning anything because of how well it did last year.
Yeah.
And it's like I don't know if they're gonna award biopics 2 years in a row, you know.
No.
But I think for possibly for some nominations, it's a definite possibility. It, and another thing kind of against it, I don't understand why they opened it against Godzilla. I mean, and Godzilla's not even doing that good. They should have picked
Yeah,
two separate
man.
weekends.
And
It's so
you
weird.
have the Avengers, and it was a very very strange thing. It could have been
Yeah.
pushed to later this year, like in
Yeah.
September, for example. We have nothing really strong coming up in September.
I hope it has legs, though. I think it's got like a really great cinema score,
Yeah,
and it's the audience score on Rotten Tomato is really high. I think it hopefully will have legs. I mean, we're coming up as we record this on the second weekend and release. Hopefully, it doesn't have too big of a drop off, and it continues to build momentum. And if it does, I mean, anything's possible. If it continues, I mean, we know Godzilla is going to fall off like crazy. I
yeah.
mean, nobody really liked that. I can't wait to record our episode on it. but yeah, I think that this will certainly be the long-term winner of the weekend. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. And have you seen this in IMAX?
We saw it in Dolby,
Okay.
which I actually like better than IMAX because the music is so good in
Oh, wow.
Dolby. It just sounds so great. So
That's
yeah,
awesome.
it was really cool. If I see it again, I will try to see it in IMAX, so just to see if there's a big difference or not.
Okay.
So I was going to ask you one other question before I get to recommendations, but since this is a music biopic movie, and since I know you are a big music fan,
Sure.
what's like a dream music biopic now that that's going to be the thing every year? We're going to be getting music biopics for the rest of our natural lives.
Sure.
What's a big one for you?
Um, uh, a big one for me would be Ryan Adams, of course. He's building
Yeah.
his story now.
Yeah. Hopefully the story ends in like the early 2010s or something.
For sure. And second one would be No Gallagher's.
Oh, that would be cool. I could see that. That would be a really great movie. I think it would be awesome.
There's something upcoming about his brother, right?
I think so. I think so. That is a story that's just so ready for a movie, and
Right.
I just think it would be great. I think it would be so good. I'm with you on that one.
I-
I'm with you on both of those picks. Great picks.
Oh yeah, and you could have a cameo of Elton in Ryan Adams' film too.
Yeah, absolutely you could. Absolutely. It all comes back around.
Sure.
Well, Jason, this has been great. Do you have any movie you've watched recently you'd like to recommend to our listeners?
Yeah, man. So recently I watched Manchester by the Sea. You know that
Ooh.
it's a very deep movie that makes
Mhm.
you worse when compared to when you start to watch it. But I love Casey Affleck, man. I can help myself with this actor because he just delivers too much, And
Oh,
it's a
so
movie
good.
that I really, really, really love.
Oh yeah, me too. One of the best performances of this decade, I would say. Just absolutely fantastic all around. And I was calling Rocketman dark earlier, but no, doesn't stand up.
Yeah, it's
Goes to
like dark
Manchester.
with glitter, right?
Yes, dark with glitter. Absolutely. Well, where could people? You got anything you want to plug or anything like that? People find you online.
I'm on Twitter at Jason Baroni, and
Hmm.
I'm constantly commenting on the group too.
Beautiful, yeah. People come in the popcorn and puzzle pieces group and come chat with me and Jason and all the other people in there.
I hope it can grow very fast in the upcoming months because it's a group that I like to be in, And I really appreciate what you do.
Hey, thanks so much, man. And thanks so much for being here.
Hi, this is Wax Trax Records here on 2909 South Decatur. We buy all your old 45s, your old albums, any type of music memorabilia. Also, we sell music memorabilia, albums, CDs, and a lot. Come on down to Wax Trax, 2909 South Decatur, or give me a call at 702-362-4300. Thank you very much.
All right, so I hope you enjoyed that conversation about Rocketman. I hope you went and saw Rocketman because it is a great movie. I'm so happy to be able to say that. And, this is actually kind of crazy, but, Elton being a customer of our store and friend of the family, my dad told me to send that mini episode we did over to him to see if he would give it a listen. And he wrote me back, "Dear David, this is hilarious. Your parents crack me up. XXX." How cool is that? That's just crazy. And who knows? Maybe I'll listen to this episode. That would be cool. Maybe we can get him on the show one of these days. I don't know. We'll see. But I am glad that he enjoyed what he heard. So that does it for today. I want to remind you all to make sure to subscribe to Piecing It Together on your podcast app of choice. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, not iTunes, because that doesn't exist anymore, right? That's like the big news of the week as far as podcasting and music and everything is concerned. So Apple Podcasts, also on Spotify, on TuneIn Radio, Pocket Casts, Radio Public. I mean, there's dozens of podcast apps, and I'm pretty sure we're on all of them. If there's a podcast app you listen to podcasts on and we're not there, let me know, and we will try to get there. Also, you can follow us on social media at PiecingPod, join our Facebook group, Popcorn and Puzzle Pieces, and go over to our website, piecingpod.com, and get signed up for the mailing list. We do written reviews as well over there. A lot of people don't know about that yet, but any movie I see in the theater and we don't get to do an episode on, I try to write a review on. So there is more content on the website, so make sure to go check that out. So that does it for today, and I think it's time to leave you guys with a piece of music. And, Elton John's music is, some of his best music. The stuff that I like the most of his music is like the big dramatic stuff. So I'm just clicking through my hard drive here, looking at my tracks and trying to find one of my most dramatic pieces of music. And I think I'm going to go with the track Never off my album An Unseen Sky, which is an awesome music video directed by the great Chris Johnson. That's on my YouTube channel, youtube.com/music by David Rosen. You can check out the video for Never there. It's a really great video. But I do think this is one of my more dramatic tracks. A lot of my tracks are kind of dramatic, to be honest. But let's leave you with Never, and we'll be back soon with a whole lot more Piecing It Together.
and all points west.